Kara Kirk, NBC Sports Bay Area. Would you describe this as one of the most satisfying wins of the season?
Oh yeah, it's a great win for us. Just gutsy when you consider the circumstances. Back to back playing against a tough physical team like the Pacers, and to come in with no rest and get it done. Just a hell of a win.
Does the last two nights feel kind of like this team's style of basketball, like almost East Coast? You grind it out. You guys are a top 5 defense at this point.
It's funny that you say that. I was walking into the locker room and Ron Adams said that exact comment to me. He said, "Who knew we were going to become an East Coast team? Grinding it out and relying on our defense. And it's not pretty. It's not pretty, but it's really a tough-minded group, and they compete. I mean, Kelly's just getting knocked around out there, and Steph was exhausted. I think Steph's defense this year has been totally overlooked because everybody's locked in on his scoring and shooting, but his defense has been fantastic. And Draymond just ties it all together. I mean, he made some plays tonight that nobody on earth can make just because of his brain, his anticipation, his physicality. He dug out a loose ball late in the game that looked like he had no chance at, and nobody else on earth was going to beat him to that loose ball. So Draymond was just tremendous tonight, and hell of a grind out win.
If you were to power rank in the organization who enjoys the fact that this is the style of team, I assume Ron Adams is right up there. One, who else is just like kind of become this team?
Well, maybe Jaron Collins, since he's the defensive coordinator, but definitely Ron appreciates this. And, I'm still of the mindset that we can do both, that we can get better offensively and continue to play great defense. You saw us make some plays tonight that were just head scratchers, allowing TJ McConnell to come in and make steals in the backcourt, on plays where, you just got to be rock solid. And I think we need to be more solid offensively. I think we'll get there because if we can do that, I think we've now proven over, whatever it is, almost half the season, that we are one of the better defensive teams in the league. One of the best, actually, top 4 in efficiency. So we've just got to put it together to really get over the hump. And we've got the potential to do so. But we've got to get better in our decision-making, just our awareness offensively. But I couldn't be prouder of the effort these guys put forth every night.
Steve, you guys have obviously won in a variety of different ways through the year, but what does it do for the psyche of the group to win in a game against a tough team like Indiana when you do hit only 5 threes and Steph is just 1 for 11 from beyond the arc?
Yeah, especially coming off those 2 difficult losses in Orlando and Charlotte, and then to go back-to-back New York, Indiana, 2 very physical teams. To win these 2 games when we were clearly exhausted by the end is just a huge lift for us. And, it's going to be a much better flight home after the win. And we got a quick turnaround. We got Charlotte coming up in a couple of days. So hopefully we can find a way to win a 3rd game in a row.
Steve, you have said throughout the season that you don't need Draymond to score. Tonight he gave you some offense. Do you need him to score? Does that statement hold true when teams ignore him?
Well, tonight we needed him to score just because we only made 5 threes. And, so every game is a little bit different. I think in general, we don't really need Draymond to score. We need him to do what he does energy-wise, defense-wise. But there are going to be nights like tonight where the ball's not going in the hoop. And if we can get a few hoops and a few free throws from Draymond, then that may put us over the top.
Did you see some restraint from Draymond as well tonight? He picked up his 4th and 5th fouls in that 4th quarter. Some teammates were getting knocked around, but he kept it button up.
Yeah, I mean, Draymond knows how to play with fouls. He's he's just so smart. He knows when he can take a risk, when he can't. And so, when he got his fifth, there was no thought about taking him out. I mean, we just got to ride with him, and his defense and rebounding and just plays down the stretch really allowed us to secure the win.
Kind of an up and down night for James Wiseman. What did you make of his performance overall?
Yeah, it was up and down, but everything's great for James right now. Every experience matters. And it's tough coming back from an absence. The second game back to me is always the harder one. The first night back after an absence, you have the adrenaline. You're playing. It just you feel great. Second night, the adrenaline goes away, and it's always a little more difficult. So I think tonight he had some good plays. You see how fluid and athletic he is, and just by being out on the floor, he impacts the game. But he's learning every day, and all these experiences are really good for him.
Going back to that first game against the Pacers, and then obviously this game, how do you feel like the guys around Steph are responding to the way that defenses are just sort of overloading on him now?
Yeah, much better. I mean, it's a great point, Wes, just the contrast between the two games. They went box and one down the stretch in San Francisco, whenever that was, 5 weeks ago or so. And I don't think we scored in the last few minutes. And, tonight, much better awareness, better spacing. And most of all, in that game, I thought the Pacers were just tougher than we were down the stretch. And I thought tonight we were the smarter, tougher team. And that, that's what wins close games, especially on the road. So I think we've made really, really big strides since that loss.
What do you think of James with that second unit?
Excuse me?
James with that second unit. What did you just kind of think about that lineup combo together?
Well, it's, it's going to be a work in progress. One thing with any lineup combination, you have to sort of get comfortable with certain actions and be able to rely on certain things. And with that group, we're nowhere close to that. So that's going to be really important as he continues to play, with that group, which I anticipate will happen. We got to get comfortable with a few actions, a few pet plays. What can we run on the fly that we're all very comfortable with? But I think it's great to get him out there. He's got to develop. He's so talented that he's going to, as I said, he's going to make an impact on the game regardless. So if he can gain experience and help us hold down the fort, with that unit, I think that's really a good spot for him.
Haven't seen a lot.
We're talking about these grinded out games. I'm sorry, Monty. Go ahead, Monty.
But we haven't seen a lot of the Draymond Pascal combo. You wrote it late. What the thought process behind that?
Well, Eric was playing well, and knowing how Indiana was playing us with a lot of blitzing of Steph and trapping him out on the perimeter. Eric's just a great finisher. He's so explosive, and so we decided to keep him out there. He was already in a good place anyway, making an impact on the game. But knowing that there would be some openings around the hoop, we thought Eric would make the most sense just finishing plays. And he did get a couple big hoops for us, and I thought his defense was excellent too.
Steve, we're talking about these grinded out games, and I'm sure you'd wish you'd make it easier on yourself with some of these, obviously, but do you think there's a lot you can take from these? And because, it's probably going to be a grinded out season if you look at the standings and see how close everyone is. Probably reality is you'll probably be playing a lot of this type of basketball as you jockey for a playoff spot. Is there something to be said about how your team reacts during these moments?
No doubt. I mean, the whole point is, if we're going to play these close games, we've got to learn how to close them, and you close them with great defense like we played tonight, and you've got to execute. I don't think we executed very well offensively down the stretch, but if your defense is good enough and you rebound, chase down loose balls, and you're playing with a lead, then sometimes that's enough. So it's a good step, especially coming off those two terrible losses. This team could have very easily hung their heads and lost these last two games. So I think the fact that we We won the last 2 on the trip after that start. Shows you a lot about who our guys are.
Steve, going back to Draymond, that monster dunk he got and the rebound against Turner towards the end, those are conditioning plays. Is that the best you've seen him ever, conditioning-wise?
Conditioning-wise?
Yes.
Well, we're talking about a guy who's been Defensive Player of the Year and, 3-time champion. And I mean, it's hard to throw that out there right now that this is the best we've ever seen him. He's from a conditioning standpoint. I mean, I think the point is really that he's in a really good groove and he's in a good place physically. Whereas, first month, 6 weeks of the season, he was not, for good reason. The long layoff and the not having a training camp and all that stuff. So Draymond's in a great place and he should be. I maintain that Draymond still impacts winning at a level that most players can only dream of. And so while everybody else is going to focus on his shooting numbers and points and all that, just watch him defend and lead our team and use his intelligence and his competitiveness to help us win. He's an amazing player.
You mentioned strength for Steph earlier in the year when we were talking about, him getting bigger has allowed him to finish at the rim. How much do you think that's helped him defensively, being bigger? Yeah,
I think it's helped him quite a bit, Anthony. I mean, he's really fighting over screens well, staying with his man. He just looks stronger at both ends. And I think tonight he was really tired by the end because it was a really tough grind out game. The way Indiana plays, it's really hard to guard. All those DHOs with Sabonis. He sets some really tough screens, and you're chasing shooters like Justin Holiday or McDermott, or Brogdon coming downhill. They put a lot of pressure on you, and I thought Steph exerted himself to the point where he was exhausted by the end, and maybe that had something to do with a couple of turnovers he made late. So it'll be good for him to get home and get a little rest and before we get back at it.
Coach, how important for you is to carry on the same physicality and the same defensive mindset of the last couple of games? And about Kelly Oubre, what is the biggest progression of his game through the last games?
Well, we have to keep our defense up. That's really what our team is built on this year. And as long as we defend, we're going to have a chance to win every night. As for Kelly, he looks great. He feels comfortable now. He's been with the team for a couple of months, and he's just in a good groove. So Kelly's been fantastic.